Hi, I'm Sam, your resident fantasy reader.
And I'm Morgan, your romance reader, and we welcome you to Just One More Page,
where it's never just one more page.
We're children. It is fine. We are children.
I hope everyone knows that we are doing a late night recording, so me and Sam are full of giggles.
I was telling her quotes of a book that I read where it's very, very not PG-13, and I was just like, ah!
And I was telling her about how when I listen to spicy books at work, which I don't, if you're my boss, I don't listen to spicy books at work. Well, if I did listen to spicy books, I would turn to my coworkers and tell them, don't look at me.
Don't look at me and my terrible sin. Don't judge me.
Listen, I just need to listen to some things at work. I don't like the silence, okay?
We listen and we don't judge.
We do judge, but we don't say it.
And we judge inside thoughts. We don't make our inside thoughts outside thoughts, just so you know. Except for this podcast. But our inside thoughts stay our inside thoughts.
Yes. Oh, by the way, I thought I would tell the story because I think it's funny. I already told Sam, but Sam, you can act like you didn't hear it.
Ooh, new story. Yay.
So there's this man at work that I think is kind of cute. I know I don't usually have crushes on people, but I actually think he's kind of cute. Although I will admit he's a little bit of a golden retriever, which I'm like, you're a little too hyper for me. I will admit I'm like a black cat. I don't really like people. I'm not very overly excited and stuff like that. Well, I am with my friends, but not really with strangers. But he's very, very golden retriever. Anyways, I made a mistake of telling my coworkers that I wasn't sure if he was cute or not. And then they immediately were like, ooh. And so he came over and he was like, oh, can I please get some water? And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. And then he was like, oh, can I get some ice? I'm like, whoa, dude, you're asking for too much. And kind of trying to flirt really horribly. And of course, as I'm trying to flirt with this guy, I turn and look, and here are my coworkers. I wish you could see my face. One of my coworkers is literally looking over the counter at me, smiling like the little grudge she is. And another coworker is walking past, looking at me, head turning, going, hee. And I'm like, can we just calm ourselves, please? Remind me never to tell my coworkers I have a crush on anyone because it does not turn out well. But I thought it was hilarious and I thought it was shared because my coworkers are never cool. I don't know about your coworkers, Sam, but my coworkers are not very chill.
We are a bunch of ADHD and hyped up on caffeine ICU nurses. None of us are normal.
You know what? That makes me feel better.
You should see us in the morning when all of our caffeine starts to like kick in because we are like weirdly giggles and jumping around like freaking crazed monkeys, and it is fine.
That makes life more enjoyable.
It really does.
Okay, so listen, we're going to talk about this book. Sorry for the rambling. I just want to tell my little story and also giggle because it's late at night. But we're going to be talking about a special little novel. So this week we read a novel from Kait Ballenger called Original Sinner. Now, this novel is really different because we don't really normally read paranormal romance. Actually, Sam, wouldn't you say this is like our first paranormal romance? Have we read anything?
I mean, it depends on how you like define paranormal romance. Because we read the games gods play, and that's paranormal romance.
Is it?
It was the Greek gods, and I mean, same idea. Like, we have, like, Lucifer and stuff, and I like not to give away, like, Morgan's thunder, but our takeaway Morgan's thunder about talking about this book. This one has Lucifer, and hers has also Lucifer. Yeah, I would put hers in paranormal romance for sure.
Okay.
Twilight's paranormal romance.
Oh, I love my vampires.
So we have read it, but I don't feel like we have read a book that specifically sits inside the paranormal romance genre.
That's like also a dark romance too.
Yeah, this is a dark romance too.
It's something that we haven't read. I mean, I've read a dark romance one or two before.
Oh, I have too. I read like Neon Gods and stuff. I don't feel like we've really, outside of Abigail's book, have like reviewed like a strictly dark paranormal romance.
Oh, that's true. You say paranormal because I was gonna say for dark romance, would that book series we read Save Me be dark romance? No, not really, right?
Maybe. It's fine. We went through the entire Why Choose 4 books. We're all for the trying new things.
You know what? We're dipping our toes into something new, okay? But if you're curious, this novel is once again called Original Sin. This novel takes place in a world where 7 deadly sins are real and each of them run their own business. You have Lust, who runs a brothel, Sloth, who is a social media streamer, and so on. And then there's Pride, who you also may just know for his other name, which is Lucifer. While his other siblings are dying for the spotlight, Lucifer keeps away, which makes him a hot commodity. But when Lucifer's newest employee, Charlotte, accidentally publishes a private rant about him, the press eats it up. Now, with his siblings vying for his power, Lucifer needs to distract the press. In doing so, he has to fake date Charlotte, who has more secrets than she's letting on. We do want to mention that this novel was given to us as an arc from Kait, which thank you so much for that. And in exchange, we're going to be giving our honest review of this book. So, Sam, once again, we don't normally read paranormal romance.
Not generally, no.
I don't really read paranormal romance. I think that if you like these types of books, then you would really like Kait's novel. But personally, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I don't think it was like my favorite book I've ever read. Just because, once again, I don't normally read dark paranormal romance. It's not something that I gravitate towards, but I had a fun time reading it for what it was. There were some parts of the novel that had me kicking my feet or had me gasping. I think that the concept of the novel was really interesting, and I know that this is a part, I think, of a trilogy, right?
I know there's one more book coming. So there definitely is a sequel coming because there is a cliffhanger at the end of this book. I mean, no spoilers, but there is a cliffhanger at the end of this book. So it's definitely a lot like a big setup novel, I would guess. If I had to like kind of like describe this particular book, is it's a lot of like setup for what's going to end up coming in the next book.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. I think that the book ended, like you said, on a cliffhanger, and it had me be like, wait, what? What's happening? So I'm excited to see where it goes. This is very much a dark romance, and Lucifer is obviously the devil, so he's morally gray. And I'm not really used to reading a character like that, although there are parts of Lucifer that I did feel was super sweet. But I don't know. It wasn't really my necessarily cup of tea, but I think that if you do like paranormal romance, then you definitely would love this one.
There's definitely an audience for this book. Like, there's a certain fantasy that this book kind of definitely leans into. For what it was, I enjoyed it. Overall, I mean, it's definitely a dark paranormal romance book. I feel like it really plays into the fantasy of Lucifer. There's like a lot of Greek god Lucifer books that have been coming out recently. Clearly, like a trend going on. So.
Wait. Greek god? Lucifer is not Greek.
Or not Greek, but like the seven deadly sins and the Greek gods and just like mythology overall, you're seeing a lot more in the market. So there's definitely a market out there for this book for sure.
Now, you know what? Let's go into our spoiler section because there's many things I want to talk about with Sam. If you've yet to read this book, then please go do so. Come back, check it out. And if you haven't and you still want to get spoiled, then by all means, go right ahead. We'd love that for you. Okay, Sam, I want to ask you real quick. Who do you think sent the anthrax?
Oh my god, I can't even begin to like guess on that one. You know what? I feel like Sloth maybe did it. He's like the least likely person to do it, so I feel like he might do it because like he's Sloth and he's lazy and he's just like the epitome of just like not going to do anything. I mean, if you really look at like the American people, I feel like Sloth has the biggest pull over people. I feel like him trying to replace Lucifer would make sense. And trying to kill Charlotte.
Yes, I agree. I'm looking at all the seven deadly sins, and I think maybe I can't see Wrath doing it because Wrath is a little bit more chaotic. I want to say envy.
I mean, I guess greed would want what Lucifer has, but I really feel like Sloth would be trying to aim to get rid of Lucifer. If Sloth wins, like, I don't know. I feel like it's Sloth.
I completely see that. So my other question for you is, who did you think sent out the email?
Because you and I talked about this before. I thought it was Imani because Charlotte became the new favorite when Imani had been the favorite the whole time. And so it would make sense that Imani would want to try to, I guess, undermine Charlotte, which, girly pop, I get that you wanted to write that scathing letter to Lucifer because you were trying to get rid of your feelings. But A, why did you do it on your work computer? And B, why didn't you just delete it and you just downsize it? I don't give a crap. You don't do that crap on your computer. I've read this storyline a million times. Just get rid of it. Imani, I definitely like for sure up until we found out that it was Lucifer, I thought it was her the whole time.
I thought it was her too. I also thinking that maybe it was just her being stupid. sending it. Be like, oh, I accidentally touched it. But
Yeah, but she did it on a Word
Yeah.
document. It wasn't like it was in an email.
that's true. And then you come to find out that it was Lucifer, which I understand why it was Lucifer, because Lucifer is like, oh, I want to use you, I guess, in some ways. I think it would have made more sense for me personally. I would have loved to see her as like the secret bad person of being like, oh, damn. She actually has like changed for Charlotte, and that she came out as a villain. I feel like that would have been more interesting to read as her as a villain. Now we do have a main villain, which is her dad and her husband, which I was shocked that she was married.
I don't know. Charlotte's a goody two shoes. It kind of checks out that she was married to an asshole.
Yeah, and I also feel bad that she kind of talks about like church marriages where people get married by the church and stuff like that. In some ways, mental abuse that these brides go through getting married to someone that you don't even love. So I understand how Charlotte feels trapped and why she escaped and why she ran away and why she decided to work for like the devil himself.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of religious trauma in this book, that's for sure.
Honestly, I was a little triggered sometimes. I do want to talk to you about one of my favorite scenes, though. It was when they're out to eat together, and she asks him like, "Oh, do you always like?" This is PG-13, by the way. If you're listening to this wrong, kids, turn this off right now. But she's like, "Do you always eat people out with a forked tongue?" And as soon as she said this, the waitress comes out, and she's like, "Here's your entree," and that part right there made me crack up laughing because I could just imagine the look of shock on this waitress's face and be like, I'm just trying to do my job and you're talking about fork tongues? What?
Listen, and I'm so sorry, Kate, if you're listening to this, but all I could think of when you talked about a forked tongue is, I'm a snake.
I'm a snake.
I'm a snake. I was like, I know it was supposed to be sexy. I know it was supposed to, like, I don't know, hit a certain kink. And I was just like, I'm a snake. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And that's just my millennial brain, like, just going to, like, memes immediately.
You know what? I didn't think about that, but now I'm going to think about it now. Okay.
In the next book, when his tongue is forked, it's gonna be like, I'm a
Snake.
snake.
And I'm going to text you that meme. I hope you know. Another person I really liked is her stylist, Xander.
Yes, Xander was awesome.
I thought he was gonna be a little catty, but I loved him. And one of my favorite quotes from him is when she's looking in the mirror and she's like, "Oh, I look like a queen," and he's like, he grins at her and he says, "Because any good player knows the queen is the most powerful piece," and he's talking about chess. I love that quote.
I feel like Xander was one of the few people outside of Lucifer who was truly in Charlotte's corner.
Oh yeah,
and like rooting for her.
I agree.
In all of this, because like, yeah, Amani wanted her to do well, but I feel like Amani only wanted her to do well up to a certain point, because then she would kind of like become more important than Amani. But I feel like Xander was like truly like one of the few people that was in Charlotte's corner who wanted her to like succeed in everything that she was doing, especially because Charlotte was such in the public eye of everybody.
My question to you is, if you had to marry one of the deadly sins, who would it be? I know mine right away.
I don't know, honestly. I mean, if we're gonna go like stereotypical, I would definitely say Pride, because it's low-key Lucifer, and like I can get past the fork tongue thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like a go with the flow kind of person, so probably Sloth.
That was mine. I chose Sloth too because I like to lay in
Yeah.
bed all day, so we could just lay in bed.
I'm very much like, not gluttony. I'm not a gluttonous person, but like, I'm a very chill person, and like, I like to lay around and read my books and whatever. So, I mean, Sloth. And then like low-key Pride, aka Lucifer, as like a very close second.
Yes, completely agree. Do you have anything else you'd like to add about this book?
Low-key, don't leave shit on your computer that people can just like send. Okay, I just want to talk about too, and this is just, maybe it's just a nitpicky frustration or whatever, but Lucifer sent the letter, or he sent out the notice or whatever. So he's the one who kind of like coordinated all of the bullshit that was happening in this book, like her finally becoming a part of the like quote unquote society, and then as she's kind of like becoming the person that he's kind of molded her into being, all of a sudden he's like, yeah, no, just kidding, I don't like it was me who sent the letter, like you need to leave me alone. Like, I'm like, sir, what are you doing? I mean, I get that he represents Pride, and I get that it's Lucifer and that he's the devil and all that. I get that. I do. But it just like the end game made no sense, because I was like, what was the purpose of this? And maybe we're gonna get more of like a purpose in the next book, because we do end with her getting anthrax thrown in her face, basically. So I mean, and there's obviously another book coming, so maybe we'll get a little more into Lucifer's personality. But I was like, I don't understand that specific plot point.
So I feel like the only reason why he sent out the letters because he really, really liked her in the beginning. He was obsessed with her immediately. He was like, "Ooh, I like you," and he didn't. I don't know. Maybe he just wanted her closer to him and thought that this is the best way to do it. I don't know. I don't pick the devil's brain. Okay, that's just bad luck.
And this is just might be like criticism, but I feel like there was a lot of contradictory points in this book of like Lucifer not wanting to be in the public eye, but then he was the one who put himself in the public eye, but then fought about being put into the public eye. And I just didn't understand it.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to be bipolar. Okay.
Pride does weird things to you. It makes you do weird things because you're trying to protect yourself, and obviously pride. I just feel like there was a lot of like contradictory motivations.
I don't know. Lucifer was just a morally gray character.
I liked how Lucifer was with Charlotte. He was very kind and considerate and caring toward her. And like you find that a lot in like the dark romance and stuff, where like the main love interest is like a dick to everybody else, but like loves the main female character or male character or whatever the two couple are supposed to be. I just felt like the motivations were very contradictory.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Well, okay. Oh, one last thing I do want to add. I did have a favorite character. I don't remember his name. I forgot to write it down, but he's the bodyguard. The bodyguard that was like a demon, which I didn't realize demon. I thought that he was just a human. And so when he got shot in the back of the head and he died, I was like, no. And then I realized, oh no, you're a demon. I forgot. I forgot.
Just kidding. Low-key Lucifer could have just gone down to the underworld and like plucked his soul back out and brought him back.
Yeah, which is pretty much what he did anyways. But anyways, we hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you guys are curious, next week we're actually going to be interviewing Kait Ballenger, which is, if you obviously didn't listen to the beginning of this episode, is the writer of this book. So we're going to be asking her all the questions we had about this book. We're going to be interviewing her and talking about her writing career. So definitely check that one out. But if you guys did enjoy this episode and would like to support us, please feel free to rate us on Spotify, as it does help push our podcast out there. And we also have other places where you can find us, such as Audible, Google Podcasts, anywhere else you can find a podcast. And we do have a YouTube channel called Just One Page. And Sam will tell you about the rest of our socials.
So if you think we're absolutely hilarious, which fun fact, my friends, we are. Did you not hear the giggles at the beginning of this podcast? We are hilarious. We do have an Instagram. It is Just More Page Podcast. For all the pictures, stories, anything else we decide to post, we do have an Instagram. It is Just More Page Official. And we are Just More Page Podcast on Tome and on Blue Skies. So go ahead and follow us on all of those. We slide into our DMs. We love talking to you all. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm so excited for our interview next week. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we will talk to you all next Sunday.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Right. Bye.